All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to NGS. I am Jayzon, and joining me once again, we have Consort. Thank you very much for coming back again, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked you're back again after all the mayhem in the last game.
Oh man, I mean we had a great set in that last game, and I'm hungry to cast another one, man. To keep this train rolling.
All right, so it looks like we got both teams in lobby. First map is going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen, which was map pick for LiT. And then game number 2, we are going to be going to Brax's Holdout, which was Drop Dead Gorgeous's choice here. So let me just make sure everybody's ready, and we will get this started for you guys. We got a nice nightcap here. Thanks for joining us into the long late hours here on a Tuesday night. We're gonna get this going for you, and we'll hopefully see a really good set between these two teams. They both are in pretty big need of a win here. I think they're both looking to turn kind of a rocky start to the season around, and trying to jettison themselves up a little bit here in the B West standings.
Yeah, and you can see LiT Unknown on the right with their portraits, just sending a prayer out to the god of pugs, first pick Nova, trying to get that win tonight. So we'll have to see if that pays off.
The Novas, man, I can't get over it. She's kind of back, you know, at least in some form of play. Probably not competitive, but you know, she's been around.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point where I don't hate seeing her in my Hero League queues if it's on my team. I'm not like immediately, oh man, we have Nova, this sucks. I still don't want to see it as a first pick though. So guys, if you're out there and you're watching and you're first picking Nova, just please don't, please.
You know, it's gotten to the point where I don't think it's a troll pick anymore. You know, I think they're actually picking that hero because they think it's good, and you know, you gotta have some respect for that at least. At least, you know, if you're gonna pick something that's maybe not that great, at least you're not just blatantly trolling. Yeah,
it's a good pick. Not as good as an all-around pick though as the Hanzo, and that's why we're seeing the first ban on the Hanzo going into Tomb of the Spider Queen. He's got a lot of wave clear, good amount of damage, and we're seeing the new Tyrael ban in response. I was kind of hoping to see new Tyrael tonight, so I'm a little bummed that we're not going to see him this game.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I feel like he gives a little bit better boss control now, so we'll probably see him more often on those big boss-centric maps, which Tomb of the Spider Queen is one. Pretty much the only real, you know, map win objective or win condition here is that boss. But, you know, they say no thank you. And meanwhile, Drop Dead Gorgeous will go ahead and pick themselves up a very strong pick in the ETC to start this one out. Yeah,
ETC always a good tank pick. You know, if you're looking to pick up a tank on pick 1, ETC is not a bad choice because he's a priority for a lot of teams. He works into pretty much any comp. He can be a divier tank if he wants to be. He can peel a little more if he wants to. Go all-around choice.
Here we go again.
Meanwhile, we'll see the Chromie coming out here from LiT Unknown. So this is one of the maps where I've really seen Chromies popularized. Tomb of the Spider Queen has a lot of nooks and crannies for her to be able to hide in, because it's hard to hit spells with a Chromie when the enemy team can see where you are and kind of see you sizing up that combo damage. But if Chromie's hiding behind a wall and out of that line of sight, her damage can come from anywhere, and you just would never see it coming. You would never know to even try to dodge.
Yeah, and nothing is more frustrating than being on turn-in, putting those last couple gems in to get those weavers, and then Chromie combo comes out of nowhere and just insta-deletes you. Another thing to point out for this map, too, is lanes are shorter. The whole map is smaller, which makes a long-range character like Chromie more viable, because she's going to be closer to safety as she's pinging away with you with those annoying sandblasts. And I'm still interested to see it early in the rotation. Chromie is usually picked a little later on because there are some counterplay options. But, you know, if they have a really good Chromie player, it makes sense to prioritize that and get it ASAP.
Yeah, so we do see the Greymane and Uther coming out here. So that's probably a bit of an attempt to counter the Chromie. Greymane, you know, able to dive in. If he's able to get within that Dark Flight range, he can really deal a lot of damage to a very squishy Chromie target. Especially before she's able to get those 13 talents to well, really 11 talents to try to get some of her more defensive abilities going. But for now, we do see the Stukov coming out as well, so the silence there. Interesting pick for the Uther, though. The Uther, I think, might end up struggling a little bit with the Chromie damage here.
Yeah, it could. Uther could definitely struggle a little bit trying to keep up with Chromie's poke. He's not the best sustain hero if he's got to heal people over a long period of time. At the same time, though, if it does kind of pull Temporal Loop off the board because he can go into Cleanse or he can take the Divine Shield. It could save a hero from a Chromie combo if we see someone about to get deleted. Just chuck out a shield and keep them safe. And ban-wise, we see the Genji ban coming on the board for LiT Unknown. And becoming a theme today with both Shimada brothers getting banned out, not being able to be picked. Both of them, again, just really strong heroes and just stuff you just don't want the other team to have. Because if they do, it just causes major problems for any kind of comp you want to put together.
Yeah, the mobility of the Overwatch heroes really makes them very threatening for a lot of different team comps and a lot of strategies. Interesting that we've seen neither team opt for the Lucio, which has seemed so powerful in the meta, but instead going to different support options here. Meanwhile, we do see the Malthael being banned out. Kind of a hint that we're going to see at least another tank, or another very strong HP hero coming out from Drop Dead Gorgeous. Could even see something a little odd like an Asmodan, but probably something beefy coming in these last two picks for them.
More than likely, I mean that's the traditional reason you ban out the Malthael. I wouldn't be surprised to see a tankier solo laner option for that bottom lane. Maybe Sonya might be what they're trying to size up to grab. If that's the case, they do have to be careful because LiT Unknown does have the next two picks. They could be snapping the Sonya up for the solo lane themselves, but we'll have to see exactly what both teams go into.
Yeah, Arthas is still on the table, Leoric, so they have a couple of different good options for the solo lane still. And a lot of times I see teams actually purposefully stall their solo lane pickup because they want to know what the other team's going to have and try to properly counter it. So we are going to see Artanis and Arthas. Unfortunately, we're not going to see which one's going to be the solo laner because it's kind of hard to tell. Probably the Artanis, but either one of those could be a very strong solo lane.
Yeah, and it's actually an interesting pickup because they're kind of covered on both ends of the spectrum as far as the solo lane goes. If they try to go into a melee-centric solo lane or something like Sonya or something like that, Arthas is there to slow auto attacks and just generally be a pain to deal with in that lane. If it's something a little squishier with a little more range that they try to solo lane with, Artanis is very good at getting into those heroes, trying to land swaps, sustaining through sustained damage with the shielding and the double strike. So they're kind of covered both ways on the solo lane. I'm trying to think of options that could throw them for a loop, but nothing's coming to mind at the moment.
Yeah, I really like the draft coming out so far from LiT Unknown. We're going to have to see what Drop Dead Gorgeous has as a follow-up to this because I'm really worried with the Greymane countered very hard by the Arthas pick here. It is going to be that frontline Sonya, and they're going to go with a more burst heavy. So what I'm seeing right now from Drop Dead Gorgeous is they are looking to end fights quickly. Zol also coming out here as the last pick, so they're going to have a lot of wave clear. Very frontline heavy, and really, I think that's just to enable the Chromie. You got to go through, theoretically, 4 heroes before you finally get to that Chromie in the backline.
Yeah, and also with the Zul pickup, you have to wonder if there's some intention to do the, Zul double soak while you just throw Artanis, Arthas, and Stukov and Chromie in the bot lane and just try to pressure in. Not the best setup in the 4-man for siege damage, assuming they're running that, but definitely a comp that could deal with, whatever gets thrown down to defend against them, at least as far as maintaining the lane, cleaning up gems and then trying to go for the turn-in. They may go for that, they may not. I think you can even run Zul as a solo laner in some specific circumstances. Maybe that was the reason for the pickup. I'm actually very interested to see what they do with the Zul.
Yeah, meanwhile, for Drop Dead Gorgeous, I really just think, like I said, I think that it's all about trying to end the fights quickly. They've got the reset comp, they've got the Uther, so they're not built for sustained fights. So I think it's gonna be up to Drop Dead here, whether or not, how this match goes. If they're able to get in quickly, execute well, get picks, and then force LiT to walk away, they're going to have a really good game, and it's going to end up probably being a win for them. But if they get caught in these longer sustained fights, they're going to be in quite a lot of trouble. They're going to have a hard time dealing with the more sustained heavy comp here from LiT Unknown. But meanwhile, we are loading in here onto Tomb of the Spider Queen. On the left, Drop Dead Gorgeous is going to be, we're going to have the Chaos on the Li Ming. Unitas is going to be playing the Uther. Gelda will be on ETC. Trent is going to be on the Greymane. And Pugs Not Drugs on the Sonya.
And on the red side for LiT Unknown, we have Teddy Bear 33 on Stukov, Chaos Pigeon on Artanis, Legion on Chromie, Devilhawk on Zul, and Ziltoid on Arthas.
All right, and right away, both teams rotating to the mid. Nobody looking for anything too cheeky. Kind of a small map to try to rotate out around. So, you know, both teams do have some sort of stacking mechanism that they want to be around heroes. Uther actually electing for that Wave of Light talent at 1. So he's going to be looking for other heroes to hit on the enemy side as well as his own. Meanwhile, Chromie, of course, going to start trying to poke there. We'll hit 1 to start out in the mid here, and both teams will rotate. It looks like it's going to be the standard top to mid rotate for both of these teams.
Yeah, and talent-wise, already very interesting. A lot of block talents on the board. Sonya taking the block talent to deal with Artanis. Artanis taking the block talent to deal with Sonya. Arthas also taking block, you know, just to mitigate some of the AA damage coming in from the opposing team. So interesting talent choices already.
Now we will see Stukov going into the pretty standard build. Oh, meanwhile, huge swap in there by Chaos Pigeon, putting Pugs Not Drugs into tower range there. But at the end of the day, Pugs Not Drugs walking out of that, had a lot of health, so won't be in too much danger to start this off here.
Yeah, and meanwhile, on the mid to bottom rotation, you can already see Chromie being a little bit of a problem. Drop Dead Gorgeous is a little further up in the lane, has a little more lane pressure right now, but getting closer in trying to get anything structure-wise is proving to be difficult just because Chromie can keep them at bay with that high damage and, you know, surprise burst potential.
There's something I had not considered. Double root over on the side of LiT Unknown between Arthas and the Zul. They are going to have double root to try to be able to enable these Chromie combos. So we'll have to see if that comes into play and how well they're able to coordinate that as the game goes along here.
Definitely, and that also points towards what Uther's probably looking to take up an advantage later on down in the game. More than likely going to see a Cleanse or a Guardian of Ancient Kings pick at 7 for him, and I would be surprised if we didn't see Divine Shield as well.
Yeah, everything to try to enable his team at this point. I don't see much of a point to go towards the other ults right now, but especially with the Greymane being able to try to enable him to dive in, and the Sonya. So a couple of really good Divine Shield targets. We will see the Li Ming getting hit by the root, so Devilhawk will go ahead and, or Devilhawk will go ahead and get a little damage there. Ziltoid also trying to harass. They do get the double root out onto Gelda. Legion will take advantage. Actually missing the Q there. But right away, Unitas actually doing a pretty nice job of keeping his team topped off in these rotations, which is kind of rare to see from an Uther.
Yeah, I think part of that too is a lot of the damage on LiT Unknown's side is coming from the Chromie. They're doing a good job of staying out of the worst of Chromie's damage. She is still slowly stacking her Q quest. You're not seeing any huge monster W hits right now, which is making the healing situation a little easier. ETC's got a little sustain as well, so he can heal himself up if he gets hit too many times.
Yeah, a couple of good sustained heroes over on the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous for this match, so won't need to lean so hard on the spiky Uther heals that just aren't available all that often. But again, you know, if I had looked at this match at the beginning and said which team I thought would be dominating the rotations, I would not have said Drop Dead Gorgeous here, especially with the Zul. But it looks like they did draft a lot of decent wave clear, and they've been utilizing that pretty well for the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous so far.
Yeah, and Drop Dead Gorgeous trying to make a gank on the Artanis in the solo lane real quick, but Chaos Pigeon managed to make a great play with a swap, get himself out of danger and back into tower range. Kept himself from getting picked. Really, really quick thinking on his part.
Yeah, that is the job when you are the solo laner. You know, a lot of people get this misconception that they have to win the solo lane and try and push the lane in, but you're, you know, really the only reason anybody puts anybody down there is to soak the XP. And, you know, if you end up dying, you're not able to do that. So, nice job there, as both these solo laners have been able to stay safe and go back and forth. But meanwhile, we do see the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous scoring the first turn in, really reaping the advantages of owning that, that early rotation and being able to rotate more quickly and more safely through this Webweaver turn-in area.
Yeah, and you can see as the turn-in happened, Pugs Not Drugs pushed up this lane pretty far with the Sonya just to make sure the Weaver was up, and then the rest of the team immediately rotated down to help push with it because it was already going to be on the wall. And it looks like they're just going to grab the wall and just get out of there. They're not going to try to push into forts anywhere. They just want to get walls out of the way, get as much structure value and EXP with these early Weavers as possible. It's hard for them to take forts anyway. So they just want to get what they can, not overextend, and just keep this experience advantage.
Yeah, and in a world where they have been completely dominating the rotation and controlling the turn-in points, this is really good for them. They are going to be able to guard the turn-ins coming out of this Webweaver phase and try to deny LiT Unknown their turn-in. And they are definitely winning the race to level 10, over a half-level lead at this point. And so now, as they are able to work their way towards 10, this could be a huge ability for them to snowball here, moving into the mid-game.
Definitely, and if you're LiT Unknown, you're certainly worried about this experience disadvantage. Half a level, not so bad right now. That's something you can catch up to pretty quick, but if the gap gets any wider before 10, that is going to open Drop Dead Gorgeous up to certain plays, enable them to take an early boss that can't be answered, enable them to get a second Webweaver phase and push in forts with all these. So LiT Unknown definitely looking to get some more experience on the board here, maybe even try to get a pick before 10 comes out so they can get to that talent tier on an equal level.
Yeah, and right now we do actually see the root combo coming out along with the Stukov silence, but again, just not a whole lot of follow-up damage. Like you said, most of the damage is going to be in the Chromie and in the Artanis in the bot lane. Zol does provide some damage, but it's not much. And, you know, when it comes down to Stukov, it's probably one of the lowest damage heroes in the game. So, again, nice combo there onto Gelda, but the heals just come in. And look at the 10s come in. Gelda slides in, hits a two-man mosh pit, and Drop Dead Gorgeous obliterating LiT Unknown right now as they head in towards the mid-fort.
And that's exactly the kind of play that early 10 advantage opens up when you have that much of a lead going into 10. Immediately just go in, pull a mosh pit, take two heroes off the board, and that's a fort. Now you're playing down a fort, and you're mid-fort at that, which is going to make future turn-ins very difficult.
And Chaos definitely going for that burst damage burst damage build with the Calamity and the Wave of Force. So all upfront damage, trying to burst somebody down, even seeing the go for the throat here coming in from Trent. So they are looking to get the resets rolling for Chaos and, you know, trying to win the team fights fast while Uther has all that burst healing and you know, doing exactly what they need to do here.
Yeah, and in the meantime, the solo lane down in bot has been solid. Sonya just steadily pushing this lane up. As the level advantage becomes more of a issue, Artanis is having more trouble keeping up, and it looks like they're going to try to even pick him before these Web Weavers get on the board. They do get him. They're going to start damage on this fort before Weavers even show up.
That is a really big play there, and interesting that they are putting so much focus on the bot lane. You know, I can't even really blame the Artanis in that situation because bot lane is not usually the lane that is prioritized here on Tomb of the Spider Queen, but you know, Drop Dead Gorgeous able to rotate in from that and also get the pick on Artanis, so they're playing unpredictably, and it's really paying off for them here.
Yeah, traditionally you see the focus on the top lane because that's where your boss lane is. It sets up a win condition, but instead they're kind of just trying to keep pressure on that solo laner in the bot whenever these Web Weavers are about to come up. Pushing this bot lane first is going to make it difficult to soak XP out of this bot lane and allow Drop Dead Gorgeous to focus on other parts of the map later on in the game.
Yeah, level 13 has come in here now for Drop Dead Gorgeous. They are going to get a nice amount of damage there onto the bottom keep, but not wanting to take that down, and I actually like that call because on this map, being able to get wave clear and being able to get you know, the gems is very important, and once you get the keep, that lane is never going to push out that far for you, and it makes it very difficult to actually, you know, get that soak from that lane and get those gems. So I like that they left it up. It's a little bit too early for them to want that XP and push disadvantage there.
Yeah, and not to mention, they've got the talent tier lead right now. They really don't need to be desperate for that keep. They can come back and get it later. They have the advantage. They just want to keep that advantage, not risk it, and just continue pressing it and hopefully press it all the way to court.
Meanwhile, the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous kind of posturing up here. They are going to dump some of their gems. They don't have enough to turn in, but they do force that rotation to in response here. We will see Pugs Not Drugs going in. Does get hit by the root, but will ultimately be able to come out of that pretty quick after popping that ultimate there, the Wrath. But we will see Artanis falling here. And again, just a nice exchange there for Drop Dead Gorgeous. They're up to 13 talents here. They forced that little engage there, and now they're going to be able to back up and reap the rewards by picking up this boss.
Yep, and LiT Unknown still maintaining enough gems to take the turn in when they want to take it, but they definitely want to get this boss cleaned up that they know is coming before they turn in Web Weavers. Turning in Web Weavers into the boss is really just going to lose them a turn in for the most part. They're going for the Night Camp as a response instead. Try to get something on the board in response to the boss so that something's happening while they're defending. Not exactly a winning trade for them, but they have to take what they can get for the moment until they can find a pivot to get back into this game.
Yeah, the first opportunity here is going to be level 13. They're going to have a small window where they do have that advantage. And actually, with Greymane in the mid, they know that they have the numbers here. But they don't quite have the 13 yet. The boss actually going to get the stun out onto Chaos Pigeon. He's going to take a lot of damage in response. Wailing Arrow to try, or not Wailing Arrow, but the Silence coming out to try and counter that from the Lurking Arm. But at the end of the day, they push in through the front wall here. The boss is going to get some keep damage, but again, so close to 13, they don't want to force here. And Drop Dead Gorgeous just playing this very patient.
And LiT Unknown doing a good job defending as well. Even though they are 3 levels down, they've yet to lose a keep. They've yet to lose any major game-ruining structural advantage here. No lanes pushing automatically into them. If they can find a pivot soon, they can definitely stay in this.
Yeah, but that window is quickly closing here. Level 16 being picked up here for the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous in just a few seconds. The tick will happen, and it does actually give them an opportunity to turn in, but this is actually kind of a bummer time for LiT Unknown to get Web Weavers. It's going to help them push out the lanes and get a little bit of vision going, but at the end of the day, with level 16 here for Drop Dead Gorgeous and the 3-level lead, they can't really contest them on anything right now. So what are they really going to get out of these Web Weavers?
Yeah, it's definitely not going to get a whole lot of structural value here for these Weavers, and especially not with Zul getting picked off as the Web Weavers are coming out. But at this point, they need to try to get a little bit of lane position back so they can be a little farther forward, have that vision control, know where the enemy team is. Unfortunately, that was most of the remainder of their gems, so an additional turn-in is going to be a long ways off for them. It is getting more and more difficult to find ways to get back into the game here.
Meanwhile, the engage here onto Pugs Not Drugs, but a nice D-shield coming in from Unitas. We do see Gelda hitting that mosh pit onto just the Arthas, but the resets are procced here from Chaos. Unfortunately, Chaos has no more mana to try and really do that, but you know, that's just more gems on the floor here. They have really done a nice job of denying here, and right now, Drop Dead Gorgeous feeling just fine as they start to head towards this late game, start to soak this 20. And LiT Unknown starting to fall further and further behind in this one.
Yeah, both teams backing off for now. There's really not a whole lot left on the board to take care of. The siege camp at the bottom of the map is really the only thing left, so Drop Dead Gorgeous is going to grab that and put it on the map. But for a little while here, there's not going to be a whole lot to look at. Turn-in is going to hit the board and push in and hopefully get another keep or two for Drop Dead Gorgeous. But so far, LiT Unknown has been doing a good job of defending, so we'll see if it does manage to pull structures off the board here.
Yeah, a couple options for where they want to push. They do have this camp in the bottom. It looks like they are going to look to see if they can catch anybody out in a bad rotation. But right now, the side of LiT Unknown, realizing that they're at a big disadvantage, they're going to stay safe inside their own borders here. And we will see the Web Weaver's pretty far pushed out in mid and bot, or mid and top, I should say. So the bot is going to be the main point of contention here.
Yeah, Drop Dead Gorgeous sticking with their strategy of focusing this bot lane. They want to get this bot keep off the board. It does have the most damage on it of any of the keeps at the moment, and they're pushing into it pretty efficiently. It looks like it is going to fall.
Yeah, Root coming out onto Gelda, but he will be able to slide in. Arthas going to be the first to fall here. Pugs Not Drugs going deep after Devilhawk, trying to get him down. They will get another reset there. Gelda getting kind of low. Will have to back up a little bit, but Chaos Pigeon able to swap in just long enough to get some health out of the core, or health out of the Hall of Storms, I should say, but the core is falling here. 60%. The Web Weaver does fall, but they still have this camp in the back. Gelda will zone a little bit, and Trent and Pugs Not Drugs able to take the rest of this. Game 1 going decisively over to Drop Dead Gorgeous here on LiT Unknown's map pick. And that's the tough thing, to try and come from behind when you know, it's a little easier to win on your map, but trying to come back and then get the return win for the draw on the enemy team map, that can be a really rough challenge.
Yeah, and especially on Tomb of the Spider Queen, in my opinion, one of the harder maps to try to get a comeback on, because once you start losing structures, you start losing your way to relatively safely contest turn-ins. Once you start losing your ability to contest turn-ins, Weavers start getting piled onto the board, which means you lose structures, and it kind of just loops in a cycle like that. The more you lose, the tougher it gets to stop losing more. So definitely a tough map to come back on, and always tough to come back into the map that your opposing team has chosen.
I'm still trying to follow that tongue twister. The more you lose, the more it gets hard. And never mind. I'm not even gonna... All right, so we will go to Braxis Holdout for this next one. Let's get this lobby set up and get this rolling for these teams. But there are definitely some adjustments there that I think the side of LiT Unknown can make. I feel like overall it was a very low damage comp. It was pretty much they were putting everything on the shoulders of the Chromie there, and you know, I think Drop Dead Gorgeous realized that pretty early in the game and took advantage of it quite often.
Yeah. I mean, the damage was definitely loaded onto that Chromie. Zold can put out some good damage if he can get into melee range and start wailing onto things. But ETC was doing a good job of keeping that out, and ETC was blocking a lot of those Sandblast shots. You know, he gets that 20 armor whenever he's popping any of his abilities, so that helps him mitigate that damage. And again, we weren't seeing a huge amount of massive W hits hitting multiple people, mostly because they were doing a good job of being spread out and not allowing that to happen to begin with. And it just made for overall a situation where LiT Unknown was having trouble putting out the damage they needed to pull enemy heroes off the board and try to take control of the match.
Yeah, so now we go to Braxis Holdout, which I feel like also is a pretty snowbally map in general. It's another one of these maps that, you know, the lane rotations are not very large, and there's only 2 lanes here, so it can be kind of easy once you're snowballed to really keep on the rotations and try and keep your opponent pinned back, except here it's much more essential for you to be able to keep map control in the mid and be able to keep on these beacon shrines. So LiT Unknown cannot afford to get themselves backed up into their keep zone on this map, even more than on Tomb.
For sure. And this map can definitely be very snowbally. I remember seeing a statistic that was put out a little while ago, shortly after the changes to the minion health and tower shots and all that, that said that there was something like a 65 or 70% win rate bias towards that team that does manage to secure the first beacon. So already you can see, you know, the team who gets that first beacon is already going into a massive advantage. One thing that LiT Unknown has going for them in this game is something that costs them a decent amount in the previous game early on was pressure on their solo lane from gank attempts. This is a much bigger map with more distance between the lanes. It's harder to try to gank that solo laner. So their solo laner is going to be a little safer and have a little bit of an easier time fully playing that matchup without having to worry about getting ganked from time to time.
Makes sense. All right, so we are in here. Braxis holdout. Game number 2. Lit Unknown. We'll get first pick, first map. Or first pick, first ban, I should say. So, big question here for Lit Unknown is you know, what do they want to prioritize? Right away, they're going to go ahead and ban out the ETC. They don't want to see a repeat performance from the Cal Rockstar, who so influential in that first game for sure.
Yeah, and I can't blame them. I mean, ETC is not a bad ban in general if you're trying to get rid of a tank pick, and then having ETC played very well against them just kind of makes a really good argument for getting him off the table. And I'd like to make a prediction now and just say that since every other game has done this, at some point we will see both Shimada brothers banned. I'm going to call it now, and I'm pretty sure it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, unless they, you know, now both teams have the opportunity to pick up one of them. So I expect this to be Hanzo banned. But Genji is very good here on Braxis Holdout. This is one of his signature maps, with not only the ability to have good boss shred, but also his ability to leap over one wall and then dash over the other. He can quickly rotate between these beacon points and cause a lot of problems. So we're actually going to see him banned out here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Hanzo this game from one of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, Hanzo is definitely on the board now, and he's a good early pick in my opinion, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him get picked up. Lit Unknown opting for the Ragnaros. Ragnaros is a good pick for this map. He's a decent solo laner. He's got some good matchups, but he's really good if you happen to lose a beacons phase, because he can just melt that Zerg wave, protect your forts, and just slow down the game and keep you from getting snowballed on. Plus, if you can get a fort with a Zerg wave, he can be a powerful pivot tool to keep that offensive going, get more structure value, and get some kills. In response, we see the Chromie locked in by Drop Dead Gorgeous along with the Stukov. So Chromie picked first in rotation both games now. Really interesting to see the priority on that hero.
Yeah, but it's on the opposite side this time. So Drop Dead Gorgeous liking what they saw from the last game to apply to this map, which I completely agree with. Chromie is very difficult to deal with on this map. You know, we talked about some of the maps that she is popularized on, and this is one of them where Chromie can literally be standing inside tower range where she just cannot be safely doven, and still be able to put damage on the beacon points. So along with the Stukov, who of course can either put the silence on the point or in entrance ways to the point. So a lot of good point control coming out, and we'll see Greymane and Uther on the other side, which was what Drop Dead was playing last game. So I guess these teams just wanted to swap roles and see if it worked out on the other side.
Yeah, really interesting to see both teams kind of swap strategies. The early Chromie over on Drop Dead Gorgeous now, and the Greymane Uther, even in the same rotations, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Chromie in the first rotation, Greymane Uther in the 2-3. Going to be interesting to see how both teams play the strategy that they were against in the previous game. And also interesting to see what their ban choices will be to support that strategy.
One thing I gotta say here, though, is I like this strategy, you know, for the Stukov and the Chromie better on this map than on Tomb. And I dislike the Greymane Uther combo, especially the Uther, on Braxis a lot more than on Tomb, because on this map, it's all about the sustain in lane. The longer you're able to stay and contest these beacon points, the better you're able to do. And Uther has got to be the worst healer in the game at doing that. So, you know, while he does have good engage potential, I'm very worried for Lit Unknown here for their ability to sustain in lane and stay on these beacon points.
Yep, and I'd like to point out Hot Stradamus over here called the Shimada brothers ban. And not only did I call them, they're right next to each other in the portraits together, like good brothers should be. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Well played, GG. I give up. There's no surrender button in HOTS, but I'm going to go ahead and toss it out there. But we will see Garrosh and Zeratul picked up here. So very interesting picks from Drop Dead Gorgeous. Garrosh, of course, got a little bit of a rework to his Groundbreaker, so it doesn't work quite the same way that it did before, but still can be very effective with the stun. And also we've seen more people going after the toss first, stun after, which can be very debilitating if Garrosh gets close to you in the first place.
Yeah, and, you know, it might be an unpopular opinion from what I've been hearing, but I feel like Garrosh is maybe a little bit of a sleeper hit on this map. Just because he adds to the shrine control a bit, because, you know, normally Garrosh's issue is getting into you to get that throw. You know, now that he can't pull you to him, he has trouble just walking up to you and throwing you. But if he's controlling the beacon and you want to get it back, you got to walk into him. And that solves the problem right there. If you want to control that beacon, you got to be on it, and then he's right in range to throw you out and put you in a bad position. So expecting to see some good throws coming into this match just on beacon control alone.
Well, get the Amber Alerts ready, because we have the Kidnap comp in full swing here onto Brax's holdout. Stitches, Medivh coming out as these final picks for Lit Unknown. So at this point, pulling out all the stops, trying to figure out exactly how they can counter this strategy. And, you know, if you can't get to the Chromie, bring the Chromie to you.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm always hyped to see Medivh pick. It is my personal favorite hero. I play him every chance I get, which is not often because I solo queue a lot, and Medivh is not great for solo queue. But he is so much fun to play and is always hype in his matches in the hands of the right player. He's just such a playmaker. And we'll have Zagara on the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous, probably going to be their solo laner. A lot of pressure on this map, you know, against their solo lane likely being Ragnaros. That might lead to them getting some structure value early, so could be an interesting situation in the solo lane.
Yeah, let me just take a second to reflect on the fact that we have seen not one, but 2 Zagara picks tonight. When was the last time we saw 2 Zagara picks in consecutive series here? 4 games, 2 Zagaras, but I definitely think that's a good pick to try and counter out the Ragnaros. Rag is, of course, not a specialist, but plays more specialized than any other assassin I've ever seen. He's got really great wave clear, but I'm not sure that Ragnaros is going to be up to dealing with the lane bullying that Zagara can really provide in that top area.
Yeah, he's gonna struggle a little bit into that, but the one thing he might have going for him is that Medivh will make rotations a little faster on this map. Those portals can get you through at least one of the walls, separating the beacons from each other. So that might be something they can utilize to try to win back that pressure in the solo lane. But even with faster rotations, there's still rotations. You're still pulling resources off of that bot beacon. Both teams I feel like are gonna have a hard time controlling both beacons to get Zerg progress. We might not see a Zerg wave come out till post level 10.
All right, well, we'll have to see. But first, on the left, Drop Dead Gorgeous, looking to make this a domination. Gelda is going to be on the Garrosh. Chaos on Chromie. Pugs Not Drugs on the Zeratul. Unitas on the Stukov. And we're going to see Trent on the Zagara.
And on the right for Lit Unknown, we see Teddy Bear 33 on the Medivh, Legion on Uther, Ziltoid on Greymane, Devilhawk on Ragnaros, and Chaos Pigeon on Stitches.
So right away, both teams respecting the gentleman's agreement to go ahead and send their 4-man bot. And Teddy Bear, you know, flying around, making sure that that is indeed going on. Even with the basic spray, not giving a care in the world to that. Meanwhile, we will see Legion tossed around. Nice force of will there by Teddy Bear to be able to prevent that damage coming in from the throw follow-up there. And Teddy Bear actually stepping into that portal right at the last second. They're going to try and get the punish out on him, but ultimately not a whole lot of follow-up damage just yet, especially with the Zeratul being in the top lane looking for that gank onto Devilhawk.
The beacons are energized.
Yeah, and Zeratul in the top lane early, trying to get advantage in the solo lane. Very similar to some of the strategy they played on Tomb of the Spider Queen, trying to get advantage in that solo lane and then allow them to focus resources down bot later on.
Meanwhile, we will see beacons activating here, and it just looks like right now Drop Dead, again, I like the macro call. You know they have the wave clear to be able to just kind of force Lit Unknown to not get a huge advantage early in this one, and so they just send the 2 top. They're just going to control the top lane. Bugs Not Drugs going to stay up here and try and keep the pressure up, and they'll just make sure that they control this top beacon. And like you said, this could end up being just quite the standstill here for the beginning of this game.
Yeah, and while Drop Dead Gorgeous doesn't have a way to really capture the shrine back in the bot lane with the 3-man versus the 4-man at the moment, what they do have is a lot of shrine control. They've got good poke down here with the Chromie, Stu up in the silence. Oh, but Chromie does get hooked and gets pulled off the board immediately.
Oh my goodness, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Before the 10s even come in, that is what the side of Lit Unknown is going to be wanting to do all game long. They've got the Uther for the good follow-up to the Stitches hook, and if they get that Gorge combo with the portals later, they're going to be able to make those picks even easier. But right now, Chaos Pigeon taking a lot of poke here. Gelda and Unitas doing a nice job. Actually, the hook comes out, but then the toss in response. So back and forth these tanks go on harassment. Chaos going to come in and try and make this an easy pick for the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous. Might have been the longest pick attempt in the history of Heroes of the Storm, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Stitches is a difficult pick target because of that health pool. It looks like Drop Dead Gorgeous has now controlled both shrines. Lit Unknown taking it back pretty quick with the Medivh portal to get in fast. Garrosh trying to control the shrine. And Chromie just poking away, putting that damage in. Hard to dodge when you're trying to control that beacon.
Meanwhile, Ragnaros going down here. Pugnock Drugs able to get in there and get that started. While they do own the top, we haven't really seen Lit Unknown contest for the top. So inevitably, this was the big worry. If they lose the bottom area, which kind of all started with that Stitches falling, then they were not going to be able to really defend much here. Chaos Pigeon actually does go up and recapture the top to stall here. But right now, the rotations are being owned and dominated by Drop Dead Gorgeous, and they're going to be getting a lot of this beacon. They should be getting this beacon progress done fairly soon here, the way these rotations are shaping out. Well, I mean, I guess the real question is whether or not they're going to even rotate. Yeah, they are going to go ahead and rotate back to the bottom to try and capture this. So beacon progress will continue, 70% so far. Gelda staying on here to try and force this to continue to cast. They get it to 90. Actually, Gelda goes in and finishes it off. They're going to try and make it pay for it, but that's going to be a full 100% Zerg wave in the top, where Trent has already been doing a nice job getting some of the damage out onto this top fort area.
And not just the 100% Zerg wave, but also a Hellback camp in the bot lane to help push up as well. So they're going to have pressure in both lanes. Not to mention with the Zagara, who's also capable of lane pressure. Molten Core is going to be burned to try to get some of the Zerg waves down. But they're able to just kill their way through it pretty quick. Ragnar's on the retreat, and top fort is going to fall here.
Yeah, this is has all the makings of a snowball coming in here for the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous. As Devil Hawk doing what he can down here, but ultimately just doesn't have enough wave clear to deal with all of this Zerg wave coming in. They lose the top fort. They're going to lose some damage off of this keep front wall, and Drop Dead Gorgeous even here to try and support these Guardians here in the back.
Yep, and you can see the defense trying to keep the keep wall from falling here. 5 on the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous trying to make the defense, or 5 on the side of Lit Unknown trying to make the defense, but only 4 on the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous pushing, letting Zagara just do some work on the bottom wall in the meantime on her own.
I just want to be sure.
Yeah, nice split out here by Trent. I kind of expect to see the Nidus Network at 10, but who knows? You know, they might also go for you know, the Devouring Maw play to try and set up for the Chromie damage. It could go either way.
Absolutely, and it'd be interesting to see what they do in the Mercam situation. Drop Dead Gorgeous already has one of the Merc camps out on the board, isn't available to take again. Doesn't look like they want to go for the invade. Instead, they're just going to come down to bot, clear out the opposing Knight camp, and continue pressuring this bot lane as they have been.
Nice dodge there onto Chaos Pigeon's hook. And they are going to go ahead and, like you said, clear this out here. Vision granted to a couple of these creep tumors. That's going to give LiT Unknown the easy chance to clear those. Teddy Bear just watching on high for anything that he might need to do. But level 10, race to level 10 definitely being won here by Drop Dead Gorgeous. Not to mention that they already have Chromie's ult, but they're definitely going to have an advantage here. And any time now, we're going to hear the toll of this next beacon phase coming up. It's going to be a rough time here for LiT Unknown, as they're not going to have level 10 in time for it.
Yeah, and Chromie getting pulled off the board just as the beacons are getting ready to start back up here. In a moment, Stitch is falling as well, turning into a little bit of a bloodbath down here in bot lane.
That's got to be the worst feeling in the world for that Stitches, as he's flying up in the air. He gets stopped by the time trap and realizes that he's already dead and can't do anything about it because he's going to end up over that wall.
Yeah, that is one of those situations where you just take your hands off the keyboard and you just resign yourself to that respawn screen.
That's okay. I'll be back in the court in a little bit, guys. All right, so level 10 has come in. Still a full level here for LiT Unknown to have to soak up right away. They are prioritizing getting onto these beacons. Chaos Pigeon has returned just in time for this. They try and get a ton of damage out here onto Legion, but he will be able to portal out safely. Nice force of will to prevent a lot of that damage in the first place. They actually waste the Warlord's challenge there, trying to get it on him, but they will be able to back out for now. But the beacons are being channeled, and that's the real story here.
Ooh, Uther pulled out of position by the garage. He's trying to keep himself healed, trying to get back in, but doesn't quite make it. And you're seeing a huge amount of value out of Chromie here, just now that they're so far pushed up in lane. Slowing Sands is able to just completely control this entrance into the fort. If they want to get on Beacon, they're going to have to go around or go through. Neither are great options. And Stitch is falling, trying to take option B and go through the Slowing Sands.
Meanwhile, we do see a good amount of cocktail damage coming out onto Unitas. He'll be able to heal himself up here, but we do have the Zerg waves coming out, so this time we'll be marching through the bottom lane. Zagara up in that top lane, ready to deal with that. It was indeed Nidus Network, so we'll have the global ability to come down here, and this is a rough moment for LiT Unknown. They're gonna get to level 10 very soon here, with some of this wave clear, and they will be able to pick that up. So right away, we're gonna see Leyline Seal, the Divine Shield, and actually Chaos Pigeon does hit Gelda with that hook. We're also seeing the Lava Wave come out to try and zone. Gelda taking a ton of damage, but on that Garrosh is able to survive quite a long time in there. So they get a decent amount of work done in that top lane, all the while still having the Zagara split out in top to get extra XP.
Yeah, and man, you can see the value in that Garrosh armor as he's sitting over that wall. Got a full team on him, he's into the enemy's fort, and he just stays alive for forever. I was almost expecting him to walk out, but didn't quite make it out. The damage was eventually enough to get to him. Molten Core managing to keep alive, and they only lose a wall here, so that's definitely good for them going forward. They're only 2 levels down. They could be in an equal talent tier by the next beacon phase and have another shot to get back into the game and get on to even levels.
Yeah, they are able to. That's the big story. They're able to save the keep, so now they can come back. It's still going to be rough, though. It's like I had said in the pregame. They can't really afford to be backed up into their own keeps on this map, because eventually, you know, those beacons are going to come back up and they're going to need to contest. But they do have time to soak 13 and get in a team fight here before the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous has those level 16 talents. So saving grace for the side of LiT Unknown. This game is not over yet.
Definitely. And on the bright side, even though it's a little difficult on this map having your lanes pushed out like this, once the lanes are pushed out this far, Zagara does lose a little bit of value. It gets riskier and riskier for her to move forward and try to take these waves out. And you can see she's altering the way she's playing to, you know, make up for that. Staying back, not trying to soak the waves too aggressively. Going to go after that Knight camp in the bottom while the rest of the team and both teams are working on getting mercs in many of the lanes.
Yeah, that global ability is nice for that split push, but yeah, totally agree. It's going to be hard for her And especially on a small map like this. I think Zagara and this Nidus network strategy really thrives on larger maps. But on 2-lane maps like this, you know, if she's not in the top lane, then she's probably in the bot lane. It's easy to find these rotations.
Yeah, the shell game that you play with the Zagara Nidus network, the "oh, where did she go now" game is a little easier to figure out when there's only 2 possibilities, and we do see the beacons coming online. They'll be available in 20 seconds here. LiT Unknown focusing on pushing their lanes out so they can properly contest at least 1 beacon and prevent another Zerg wave coming in, and then hopefully try to fight their way back into the match and maybe get some picks and get both beacons and start getting structures.
Yeah, their goal here is a pretty perilous one. Their goal is to be able to stall out this beacon phase long enough to get 13. They have to be able to do that by soaking safely. But right away, Drop Dead Gorgeous putting on the pressure, getting both of these beacons captured. They are going to go ahead and give in the top as they see all the members here, but the hook will miss. So now we might see a bit of a re-engage. They have the Zagara threatening in bot, so still Drop Dead Gorgeous really controlling the game here at this point.
Yeah, and this is where you see the secondary value of Zagara as well. LiT Unknown is able to take these beacons back by moving 5-man rotations to it, and at the moment the 4-man from Drop Dead Gorgeous is just taking the beacons back as they go. But even if something happens and Drop Dead Gorgeous loses a hero, Zagara can still be moving back and forth to beacons. At some point, LiT Unknown has to split their comp up if they want to control both beacons and get a Zerg wave.
Yeah, right now Teddy Bear scouting, giving Chaos Pigeon lots of looks for these hooks, and trying to give them some opportunity to capitalize here. And we do see the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous is very split, but again, they've got the Zagara pushing out in top, threatening up there, and we will see the top beacon has been captured, so right now all LiT Unknown can do is defend. And with level 16 round the corner, no reason for Drop Dead to force anything here. So they're just going to go ahead and, you know, let the XP come in and then force one at 16.
Yep, and excellent Zagara play here too, taking advantage of the fact that objectives are off and that the focus is off of her to be able to push up more aggressively and be safe. But maybe not safe enough. LiT Unknown seems to have sniffed it out, and they're chasing her down, not able to get into the Nidus network before they show up, and she will be pulled off the board. That not only takes a player off the board for Drop Dead Gorgeous, but also takes their global down so that they can't split and get both beacons. So this may be where we start seeing beacon progress on the board for LiT Unknown.
Very nice play. The question is, can they capitalize on it in time? Level 16, still right around the corner here. And Drop Dead Gorgeous, just in general, being fairly elusive. They're not really grouping up to allow LiT Unknown to come try and fight them 5v4. They're being very smart about this split. They're getting just a couple percentage on the beacon at a time. They're just charging it a little bit here and there. And now they have the 16. Zagara is back. Now they're ready to start thinking about grouping up and forcing.
Yeah, and that would have been LiT Unknown's chance to try to get back in and get some beacon progress at least, but weren't able to capitalize on it quite quickly enough. Now there's 5 back on the board for Drop Dead Gorgeous. But as I say this, they do control both beacons for a short period of time. Quickly pushed back off though, and it looks like we're about to see the full beacon phase go over to Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Yeah, very nice placement there on the slowing sands. We do see the toss in onto Chaos Pigeon. The damage going to be actually missing there from Chaos as they try and get something going. The taunt comes down onto Chaos Pigeon again, and for now, the side of Drop Dead Gorgeous not going to force the issue. They don't have Zagara with them. The wave is pushing into top, but they actually still come in even onto this active fort area. They are able to pull in Stitches and get the kill there. And so again, you know, not really forcing onto them, but bringing them into you.
Yeah, and Drop Dead Gorgeous at this point, just trying to stay into the fight to keep LiT Unknown from backing. Zagara pushing with the Zerg wave. The longer they can keep the LiT Unknown from backing and getting to this keep, the quicker it's going to get destroyed, and it's already down. Rag probably going to go for the Molten Core here at some point to try to get the wave clear, but it looks like he's being pushed off, so it's not going to be a possibility.
The toss in and the D-shield in response for Legion, but meanwhile the shields have actually been taken down here, so Trent on that Zagara trying to deal some damage. We will see Drop Dead Gorgeous starting to back off here, but you gotta wonder if this is a bait. They do indeed turn. They get the Warlords challenge out on a few members. They get 2 down. Make that 3 as Pugs Not Drugs goes in and gets the kill onto the Rag. Chaos Pigeon also very low. So they're going to turn their attention on the core here. And I think they have the damage for it. And that is going to be it. Game number 2 is going to end up going over. And domination coming out here tonight for Drop Dead Gorgeous. Very strong finish out for them here tonight.
Very strong finish, and both matches just taking early advantages and just keeping them. Patient play, not taking any ridiculous risks, waiting for the right moments, and just taking that advantage and snowballing out all the way through the game was what got them through both of these victories.
All right, so we will go ahead and reach out here to Drop Dead Gorgeous real quick, and we'll see if we can get a couple of their members in for an interview. And we'll go ahead and update their score here. And that's something I feel like they really needed. They really needed a win here. They haven't played too many of their games yet, but I think they had 3 draws so far this season. So a big win for them tonight. It was either 2 or 3 draws, but I think this is their first domination of the season. So this is going to get them some solid points and have them moving up in the standings. For sure.
Yeah, and always when you're going through a series of draws and you finally get that 2-0, big momentum spike. Gets everyone's spirits up and can really put you in a good place. Psychologically going into the rest of the season.
All right, so let's go ahead and hop on up to lobby 1 so we can chit chat with these guys. All right.
There.
And there we go. We are joined by Gelda and Pugs. Very nice game, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What's up?
So you guys had 2 very strong games there, mostly played on macro. Was that your guys' plan going in to just try and out macro the side of Lit Unknown for these matches?
I'd say that's our general game plan. Like, we do feel like we do pretty well in team fights, but like we try to have a strong early game, and then we like just to keep our lead and stay ahead is kind of our game plan.
Yeah, and so I think going off that, we just try to approach that with every match. It wasn't that we prepared for them with that macro game.
Yeah,
and it kind of fell into our lap with the first map because we kind of thought they had the stronger macro comp going into it. But it turned out we were able to play it the way we wanted to, and that was really good for us.
Yeah, for sure. And it just seems like on Tomb, you just kind of backed them into a corner, and it was kind of impossible for them to work their way out of it. And then in this game, we actually saw an interesting thing in the draft where you guys kind of swapped the beginning of those drafts and swapped a lot of heroes. Tell me a little bit about that. From your guys' perspective.
So you take that one.
Wait, what do you mean swapped heroes?
So in the first game, they had picked they had early picked the Sukov and the Chromie. Was that on purpose, or were you guys just planning on playing that on your map? We were kind
of like, we like those heroes a lot, and we were just kind of like laughing, like, should we just slam it on them? But like, no, we that was probably, those are our top 2 picks probably at that point in time with what they chose in the bands. So we were like happy to get it, but we were also laughing in comms.
Yeah, it was just so funny how it's almost like the beginning of those 2 drafts that just switched, because they also went the Uther and the Greymane to follow that up. So
it was awesome.
Yeah. It was pretty funny.
And they kind of jacked our picks on the first game because we definitely wanted to go Chromie Stukov then too, and we were like when they grabbed it. So that was a big driver for us, just locking it in right away.
All right, I'll hand it over to you, Consort. What do you got for these guys?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask specifically about the Garage pick. It's a hero that is a little controversial right now as far as people deciding, is he good, is he bad, when do we pick him? I like that you guys took him on Braxis. I feel like he could be a strong shrine control hero because even from the beacon, he can be chucking people pretty much into towers. But I didn't realize until later on, also good for parking him on the Medivh portals and just throwing out of the way anybody who comes out of them. Were there any other thoughts you guys had going into the garage pick? Was that were there any other synergies I may have missed?
Yeah, the first thing with the Garrosh is that Gelda is like kind of a beast of Garrosh. He really likes the hero, and especially after the rework. Sorry, I'm talking for you. He's like kind of he likes the way he plays now, even though he feels like the other one was kind of more like you could punish people out of position. He likes how he kind of plays now. So especially on this map, in the style that we are playing, he's a really great anti-siege hero. So like if they start trying to push in super hard in that 3-man, and we were kind of running a 2-3 at that point, that Garrosh could deny that.
Okay.
So like they weren't able to like kind of like take our towers and wall as quickly, I guess, without putting themselves into danger, which was a big reason for it too.
Yeah, that's a good point because I mean, Greymane can be a siege machine if he gets onto your towers, but he has to do that in melee range, and having that threat of the garage pull over the wall definitely something that's going to keep him from going full Worgen on your fort. So
yeah,
right, exactly, yeah, and it just helps balance out because generally teams run a 1-4 on that map, so we'll be down a man going in, and people sometimes play aggressive into that because they think they're ready. They like have the advantage and they have to push it, and you'll get those good throws like over your wall, and it really snowballs a game on this map, especially.
That's really interesting. I think I'm actually going to have to start trying to take that garage pickup myself on the Braxis and see if I can make it work. I like that.
Yeah, I mean he's still a really strong hero, I think, and I really don't think there's anything controversial about it. They added a stun to his kit, and like that's really good on its own, even without the pull. And they've only been buffing him since then, and I kind of think it's crazy. They lowered the cooldown time on Wrecking Ball, and like I don't know, he feels just crazy good right now.
Very nice, very nice. And Jason, I'll hand it back over to you.
Hey, thanks. So, looking at the standings, if I had done my homework right for you guys, was it 2 or 3 draws you guys have been in so far this season?
2.
2.
2. Okay, so
the night before.
Okay, so what does it mean to you guys to get that first win on the season and finally get that domination?
I don't know, it feels good. We I don't know, we haven't really been practicing too much as 5, so I feel like we're a little bit rusty kind of going into the beginning of this season, and that's how we kind of started last season, but I feel like once we start getting some games under our belt, we'll pick up a little more steam. So I'm pretty excited for the rest of the season. It was a good starting point.
I'm feeling hype right now because that Toon game, I thought we played flawless, and I think that's one of the best games we've ever played, and it feels really good coming off the 2 ties, like you're saying, to play a game like that on the opposing team's map, where you shut him out and kills 10-0, it just looks clean, and that felt good.
All right, so you guys have any shout-outs after your big win tonight?
Shout out to the teammates, Chaos, Chromie God, Trent, and our boy Unitas. Oh damn, I should have said Unitas.
Wait, is it Unitas or Unitas? I'm confused now.
It's definitely Unitas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Juke?
Salty, yeah.
You're even juking
shout
the casters. Ridiculous.
I know. What about you, Golda?
Shout outs to the girlfriends of everyone, and shout outs to the team, and also shout outs to your casters. Thank you very much for putting
shout out especially to Emma. You know,
oh yeah,
the girlfriend on the block.
Wow.
Special shout out to Emma.
And shout out to NGS. Thank you for hosting this. This
is awesome.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but this is my first couple weeks playing in NGS too, and it seems so fun. It's a really, really cool league. So again, congratulations to you guys. And anything else before we adjourn for the night?
I'm about to go watch your stream, so I hope you said some funny stuff.
I'm sure I slipped a couple of gems in there, including the
Good
cat
stuff.
that won't leave me alone for the last minute. But thank you guys for coming out tonight. Congratulations on your big win. And we'll look forward to seeing where you guys go the rest of the season. I know we've got a date in a couple of weeks, but I guess we'll have to see how that goes too.
I like your scouting. I like your scouting technique. It's
I
good.
mean, it's just it's the late game, man. That's all it is. I can only cast after 7:30.
You're good. You got it. I like it.
Oh, it's almost like I'm a West Coast guy or something. What do you know?
Yo, hey.
All right. Well, thank you
family.
very much, guys. And again, congratulations. Have a good night. Enjoy it.
You too. Thank you.
All right, well, that is pretty much going to do it for us tonight, guys. Thanks for coming out, and everybody who was able to stick with us through both of these matches late on into the night. Got to give a huge shout-out to you tonight, Consort. Thank you very much for joining me. Do you have anything before any big shout-outs, or where can we find you? Give us your life story, man.
Oh yeah, I mean I've been playing HOTS since early alpha. I was streaming on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ConsummateConsort. Haven't been lately, but I'm planning to get back into it, and I'm planning to be doing some casts for NGS myself as well. Shout out to the viewers always, just for showing up, and shout out to my team for being in the Twitch chat and supporting me, even when I was feeling a little nervous trying to cast game 1. Shout out to my girlfriend, who is probably asleep by now, but is never mad at me when I say everything in the kitchen has to be super quiet for several hours at a time while I'm trying to cast a match.
That's the worst, man. That's the worst.
Has never gotten super mad at me or decided to make a racket in the background to spite me. So super appreciative of that, and shout out to you, Jason, as well, for letting me come over here and co-cast. Had a great time, and excellent couple of matches we got to cast. Had a great time.
Thank you very much, man. Come back anytime. It was a lot of fun tonight, and I thought you did a great job. So, thank you to everybody. I think it's pretty much all been covered, but thanks to NGS, and I guess that's gonna be it for NGS. I am Jason. He is Consort, and we will see you guys next time. Have a good night.